Hi everyone, it is me, Sailor Saturn, Sailor Ringworld, Ataru here, and today I'm going to talk about, you know, or talk about another team of evildoers from Sailor Moon. We already talked about the Amazon trio, or the Strong Woman 3. We already talked about the Witches 4. Today we're going to talk about the Spectre Sisters. Now, the Spectre Sisters, their background is unknown, but we can just make a guess that they lived on Nemesis and how they ended up working for Alderling Diamond and Ruvius and Emerald is unknown. But we can all make a guess that it was the Wise Man or the Doom Ghost who had brought them all together, who brought Diamond, Sapphire, Ruvius, and Emerald and them together, and then lied to them about what Earth did to them. Now, as we know, that they show up, and their main goal was to go after Rini, but not truly Rini, but the folklore silver hearse that Rini had, but had taken, but forgotten about, you know. And their other goal is also getting, taking over steads of old Tokyo, which would lead them to take over Hearst Tokyo in the upcoming, or New Heaven, or whatever. And each one of these goals they would not do very well at. And each one of them had their own ways of doing things. Catzy would have her own ways of doing things, so would Bertie, so would Avery and Prizma. Now, as time goes on, they would send out fiends that would do their work for them, and each one of the fiends would get beaten. And over time, we soon learned that Ruvius would guilt all the losses on them. He would lose, go back to Diamond, tell him that he didn't do so well, but if they could give him another luck. And he'd keep on coming back and telling them they had another luck. But the truth was, he was only playing them. He never really cared about them. Now, Catzy was the first one who ended up choosing to become good, followed by Bertie. Avery and Prizma were the last two. After that, Diamond sent Emerald to let Ruvius know that if he didn't get Rini in 24 spans, that Emerald would be taking over, both the seeking of Rini in the Silver Hearse and taking over Earth. Well, Ruvius's goals included kidnapping all the Sailor Fighters and hoping it would get Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Max and Rini out to get the Folklore Silver Hearse, but that did not happen. He was beaten, sent his time ship for Starship on blow up, and Emerald was sent by Diamond to let him know that Ruvius was no longer needed. And Emerald let him die when the time ship Starship blew up. Now, let's talk about, Catzy, Bertie, Avery, and Prizma and how they were. Catzy was the oldest. She tended to be the leader of the team. And many times she tended to be the one who tended to wonder why they was the oldest. And Bertie was next to the oldest, underneath her. Now, their mindsets were a little unlike, because Catzy always believed that Ruvius cared for her, which he never did. Bertie liked to do chess. That was what her thing was into. Prizma and Avery were the youngest, and their little thing was Avery liked shopping. Well, Bertie liked shopping as well, but Avery was more into it. Prizma's mind didn't like to be instead that they didn't sell anything that was worth a lot. Now, after they all become good or choose to become good, and after, the last time that anyone sees them is when Catzy calls Serena to ask them help Sapphire out. And it shifts out that Prizma and Sapphire were together at one time a long time ago. Sadly, they could not keep him well, and Sapphire was slain by the wise man to get the running toll back, the ship back, so they could run the Blackhurst. Now, you could also ask yourself, on the asking thing is, who is setting up who? The wise man or the doom ghost behaved as if he was helping Diamond out, but he wasn't. You could make a guess that he was the one who had told Diamond that he could no longer trust Ruvius anymore, and it was most likely Diamond who fought, and most likely thought that he could trust Emerald. Now, if it was Emerald's goal to let Ruvius die in the time ship, or was it what Diamond asked for, or was it the wise man telling her to do it? We'll never really truly know. But we can make a guess that it was that the Diamond talked with the Doom Ghost, the wise man. He told him that you should have Ruvius killed because he couldn't get Rini or the Silverhurst. So Diamond had Emerald carry that out. Emerald, which we all know, thought that she was a more greater fighter than Ruvius, but did not get the Blackhurst, did not get the Folklore Silverhurst or Rini, and many of her fiends did not work out very well for her, and she was killed after the Doom Ghost shifted her into a Lindworm, and then she was beaten by the Sailor Fighters. Sapphire was killed. Avery took the ship, and the wise men had him slain. And while Diamond ended up learning the truth from Sailor Moon that the wise man, the Doom Ghost, was lying about what the folks of Earth did, or what Earth did or Earth did not do. And they ended up atoning and ended up helping keeping Sailor Moon well from the Doom Ghost, So, I know that I was really talking about the Spectre sisters, Catzy, Bertie, Avery, and Prizma, and then I just started talking about Diamond, Sapphire, Ruvius, and Emerald, because they're really kind of also overlooked foes as well. Now, as we all know, in Sailor Moon Hearst 2, Catzy, Bertie, Prizma, and Avery come back, but unlike in Sailor Moon R and the 9 between 91s, the 20 the 24 between Sailor Moon had each one of them slain. Catzy was slain, Bertie was slain, Avery was slain, and Prizma was slain. They did not become good. They did not atone like they did in the 9 between 90s Sailor Moon. So there is a big unlikeness between that. And before I end this film, does anyone truly know how the Spectre sisters how they ended up working for Diamond and Ruvius and Emerald and Sapphire? We'll never truly know how that bond or that team, how they ended up becoming followers of the BLACKMOON kin arm of the 4-1 Bonds of Evil. So we'll never know. And what are they doing these days? Well, in the Deacon Pioneer world, after Sailor Moon R, you never hear from them again, so your guess is good as mine. Alright. Give this film a like, share and playlist it, and I'll see you later.